Good morning, everyone. Today I want to speak from the heart. I want to talk about something we've all felt at some point, the desire to break free. There is no law. I want to talk about something. We are not just drinking by lock and blow our eyes. There is no law. It's, it's, it's not about being reckless or insubversity. It's about being readly and giving you. We grow up being told what to do. Study this, choose that career, behave this way, don't speak too loudly, don't dream too big. Society, family, and fear all have their rules. But what if today is the day you decide you don't want to live by someone else's script? What if you choose to take charge, to finally do what you want to do? Let me tell you this. Your passion is not random. That fire inside you, the dream you keep pushing aside, the life you imagine when no one is watching, that is your compass. Don't ignore it. Because the people who changed the world didn't follow the crowd. They followed themselves. Living authentically means embracing your true self without hiding behind the mask of societal expectations or trying to fit into someone else's version of who you should be. From the time we are children, we are conditioned to follow certain paths, behave in a particular way, pursue a specific career, maintain an image that is deemed acceptable or normal. But in trying so hard to meet these external standards, we often lose sight of who we truly are. We begin to define ourselves through others' eyes. And in doing so, we create a version of ourselves that pleases the world but suffocates our soul. Authenticity doesn't mean rebellion for the sake of it. It means honesty. Being honest with yourself about your desires, your fears, your limitations, and your values. When you live authentically, you make decisions that are aligned with your core beliefs, not decisions that merely earn approval. This requires self-awareness, which is not easy to achieve in a world that is constantly trying to tell you what to be. It takes introspection, time alone, for who you are beneath the layers you've built to protect yourself. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with authenticity is fear. The fear of judgment, of isolation, of rejection. It's terrifying to be seen, truly seen, because it makes you vulnerable. But it is only in that vulnerability that connection, meaning, and fulfillment are born. The people who matter will love you for who you are, not who you pretend to be. And even if the world doesn't always understand your path, your sense of inner peace will speak louder than applause ever could. You don't need everyone's approval, you need your own. Living authentically also means making choices that might not be popular or conventional. You might choose a creative path over a corporate one, or prioritize peace over profit. You might choose to live simply when others are chasing status. And while others may question your decisions, what they can never take from you is the joy that comes from alignment. The quiet but powerful feeling of living a life that feels right to you. That feeling is worth more than any temporary praise or acceptance. When you start living authentically, you'll notice something powerful. You stop feeling drained from pretending. There is a unique kind of energy that flows through you when your words, actions, and beliefs all reflect who you really are. You no longer wake up dreading the day because you're not acting through a script. You're living from your soul. Life feels lighter, conversations feel more real, and relationships become deeper because they are rooted in truth, not performance. Ultimately, authenticity is not a destination, but a continuous journey. There will always be new layers to peel back, new truths to uncover, and new battles with fear and doubt. But every time you choose to be real instead of rehearsed, to express instead of suppress, you move closer to the life that is meant for you. Authenticity is freedom, and freedom is found not in doing what others expect, but in doing what you really want to feel and do. What others expect, but in doing what you really want to feel and do. What others expect, but in doing what you really want to feel and do. Through breaking the mold is about stepping out of the predefined boundaries that society, culture, or even our own family set for us. These boundaries may have been built with good intentions to protect us, to ensure our success, to help us blend into the norm. But they can also become cages that confine our potential and suffocate our individuality. Many people live their entire lives following a script that was written for them, never questioning whether it aligns with their own dreams and desires. They go to school, get a job, settle into routines, and follow traditions, not because these things fulfill them, but because that's just how it's done. To break the mold, you must first become aware that a mold exists. Most people don't even realize they're living inside one. They've been taught to believe that success looks a certain way: a well-paying job, a house, a family, and a socially approved lifestyle. But when you stop and examine those beliefs, you may find that they aren't your own. Maybe you want to live in a van and travel the world. Maybe you want to be an artist instead of a lawyer. Maybe you want to be an artist instead of a lawyer. Maybe you don't want what everyone else seems to want, and it will not come to you. Breaking the mold doesn't mean rejecting everything around you. It means having the courage to question the norm and selectively choose what serves you and what doesn't. It's about designing a life that resonates with your own truth, rather than living one designed by someone else's expectations. This can be incredibly difficult, especially when those expectations come from people you love. Parents, teachers, mentors. They may all have visions for your future, but the greatest act of love you can show yourself is choosing to live a life that is deeply aligned with who you are, not just who they think you should be. When you decide to break the mold, you will likely face resistance. People may call you unrealistic, rebellious, or even selfish. But remember, it's not their life you're living, it's yours. And if you spend your years trying to make everyone else comfortable, you'll end up uncomfortable in your own skin. Critics often come from those who are afraid to step outside their own boundaries, and your courage to do so may challenge their sense of safety. But you were not born to blend in. You were born to create, to explore, to expand. Your life is your canvas, and it deserves your own brushstrokes. The process of breaking the mold also demands resilience. It means venturing into the unknown without a map, trusting that your inner compass will guide you. It means failing sometimes, stumbling, learning, and getting back up. But with every risk comes growth. With every no you say to conformity, you say a louder yes to your authentic self. This journey may feel lonely at times, but it is also rich with reward, because nothing is more empowering than knowing that your life is a reflection of your own voice, not an echo of someone else's. So when the world tells you to shrink, to follow, to stay in your lane, let that be your signal to expand. Let it be the push you need to question, to imagine, and to dare. The mold was never meant to define you. It was only meant to be a starting point. True freedom begins when you realize that you don't have to fit into any box. You are allowed to create your own shape, your own path, your own destiny. That's what breaking the mold is all about. Trusting your inner voice is one of the most powerful and transformative decisions you can make in your life. That voice inside of you, the quiet whisper that nudges you when something doesn't feel right, or when you're being pulled in a direction you can't logically explain, that voice is your internal compass. It's there to guide you, to alert you, and to align you with your true purpose. The problem is, in today's world filled with external noise, distractions, and opinions, it becomes increasingly difficult to hear that voice, let alone trust it. We are constantly being told what to think, how to behave, and what is normal. And over time, we begin to tune out the one voice that truly matters, our own. Your inner voice is not always loud. It doesn't demand attention like the opinions of others. It won't shout over the noise. It speaks softly through feelings, instincts, and subtle realizations. But even in its gentleness, it carries immense wisdom. It's the part of you that knows when something is wrong, even if you can't explain why. It's the sensation of peace when you are on the right path, and the restlessness when you are straying from your truth. The more you practice listening to it, the clearer and more confident it becomes. Like a muscle, intuition strengthens with use. But when ignored, it grows faint, overshadowed by doubt and indecision. Many of us have been taught to second-guess ourselves. From childhood, we are told to obey, to conform, to listen to others who know better. And while guidance can be valuable, over-reliance on external validation makes us forget how to rely on our own inner wisdom. We seek approval before making decisions, consult others before trusting our gut. And in the process, we become disconnected from our own identity. Rebuilding that trust with yourself takes time. It requires acknowledging that no one knows you better than you. You are the one living your life, feeling your emotions, experiencing your journey, and your voice deserves to be heard. There will be times when trusting your inner voice leads you to make decisions that seem illogical or unconventional to others. You might walk away from a secure job, end a relationship, or take a risk that scares you. But deep down you'll feel a sense of alignment, and knowing that despite the uncertainty, you're choosing what feels right. That kind of decision making isn't reckless, it's intuitive. It means you're allowing your internal truth to guide you, instead of letting fear or conformity take the wheel. And in those moments, even if the path is unclear, your confidence will grow because you're honoring what's real for you. Listening to your inner voice doesn't mean you'll always get it right. There will be times when you doubt it, when you misinterpret a feeling, or when the outcome isn't what you expected. But trusting yourself isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest. It's about learning from every choice, every detour, and every experience. Your inner voice doesn't just lead you to success. It teaches you who you are. Every time you listen, you reinforce the belief that your instincts matter, that your emotions are valid, and that your perspective has value. That your instincts, all learned instincts, ultimately your inner voice is the purest expression of your soul. It doesn't lie, it doesn't manipulate, it only wants what's best for you. It speaks from a place of truth, connection, and clarity that no external source can replicate. In a world full of noise and distraction, learning to hear and trust that voice is revolutionary. It's an act of self-respect. It's a declaration that your life is yours to live, not anyone else's to dictate. And while the world may try to sway you, that inner compass will always bring you back to where you truly belong. Fear is a universal emotion. It's something we all experience, no matter how confident, successful, or brave we may appear on the outside. Fear shows up in many forms. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. It often disguises itself as practicality or caution, whispering that now isn't the right time, that you're not ready, or that you'll embarrass yourself if you try. While fear has a purpose, mainly to protect us, it often oversteps, acting more like a prison guard than a guardian. If you let it, fear will convince you to shrink your life into something small and safe. But the truth is, safety and growth rarely live in the same place. Facing your fear doesn't mean you become fearless. In fact, people who accomplish great things usually feel fear just as intensely as everyone else. They've simply trained themselves not to be controlled by it. The key lies in acknowledging fear without letting it take the driver's seat. When you feel afraid, it's usually a sign that you're stepping outside your comfort zone, and that's where all meaningful growth occurs. If everything you do is easy, predictable, and comfortable, then you're not evolving. Fear is often a compass, pointing you toward the very thing you need to confront to reach the next level of your life. When you begin to face your fears, you start to build what many call courage muscles. Much like physical strength, courage grows the more you use it. The first time you do something scary, like speaking in public, pursuing your passion, or standing up for yourself, it might feel paralyzing. But each time you confront your fear, you expand your capacity to handle discomfort. What once seemed impossible, and soon the walls fear built around you begin to fall, revealing new possibilities you couldn't see before. Every small act of bravery builds momentum toward the life you truly want to live. Doing it anyway, even while scared, also teaches you how resilient you are. Most of the time, the fear of something is worse than the reality of it. We build up imagined scenarios in our heads, filled with failure and embarrassment, only to find that when we actually do the thing, we survive and sometimes even thrive. When you walk through your fears, you gain evidence that you are stronger than you thought. You begin to believe in your ability to handle challenges, to bounce back, to learn and adapt. That kind of self-belief is far more powerful than the comfort of never trying. Another reason to move through fear is that your dreams are always waiting on the other side of it. Fear, another move. But if you acknowledge your fear and step forward anyway, you gain access to experiences, lessons, and opportunities that would otherwise remain locked away. Action is what breaks fear's hold, not more thinking, not more waiting. So instead of letting fear be a stop sign, let it be a signal that you're doing something worthwhile. Let it be the fire that fuels your courage, not the chain that holds you back. You don't have to eliminate fear to live boldly. You just have to stop giving it control. Every time you act in spite of fear, you rewrite your internal narrative. You become the kind of person who doesn't back down, who shows up, who lives fully. And in doing so, you inspire others to do the same. Waiting for perfect conditions is one of the most common ways people delay their dreams. We convince ourselves that we need to wait until the timing is right, until we have more money, more experience, more confidence, or more support. But perfection is a moving target. It keeps shifting the closer we get to it. If you keep waiting for that one magical moment when everything aligns flawlessly, you may spend your entire life waiting. The truth is, conditions are rarely ideal. Even some problems, those who start despite the circumstances, not because of them, not because of them. Really, growth is a discretion, not because of them and anything. So see, it's not perfectionism, though often disguised as ambition or diligence, is actually rooted in fear. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, or fear of not measuring up. When we wait for everything to be just right, what we're really doing is avoiding the risk that comes with action. But the irony is that nothing teaches you more than doing. You will learn more by starting poorly and adapting as you go than you ever will by preparing endlessly and doing nothing. Experience is the best teacher, and experience only comes when you begin. Perfection isn't the starting line. It's a myth that keeps you stuck at the gate. Taking the first step without perfect conditions is an act of courage. It means trusting that even if you don't have all the answers, you'll figure things out along the way. It means accepting that the path will be filled with detours, but believing that each step forward brings clarity. Many people who achieve greatness didn't begin with a perfect plan. They started with a desire, a vision, and the willingness to try. The journey taught them what they needed to know. In fact, some of the most extraordinary outcomes were born from the most imperfect beginnings. Consider this. Waiting wastes time, but starting creates momentum. The moment you take action, even a small one, you shift your energy. You begin to generate movement, ideas, and growth. You discover strengths you didn't know you had. That momentum builds upon itself. What starts as a rough draft evolves into a polished version through trial, error, and refinement. But none of that evolution is possible if you don't begin. Too many dreams remain dormant, not because people lack talent, but because they believed they had to be fully ready before they even tried. Another important truth is that your present circumstances may be exactly what you need to build resilience. Starting when conditions are imperfect teaches you adaptability. You learn to make the most of limited resources. You become creative, resourceful, and gritty. These qualities, forged in difficulty, become your greatest assets in the long run. People who only succeed under perfect conditions tend to crumble when life throws them a challenge. But those who learn to thrive amid imperfection gain the unshakable strength that sustains long-term success. So instead of waiting for the perfect time, realize that now is the only time you truly have. Conditions may never be flawless, but your desire to move forward can be powerful enough to overcome any obstacle. Start small, start unsure. Start with a shaky voice or trembling hands, but start. Because it's in the act of doing that you learn, grow, and rise. Every expert was once a beginner. Every masterpiece started as a messy first draft. Progress doesn't demand perfection. It demands motion. Regret is a slow and haunting emotion. It doesn't crash into your life like a failure might. Instead, it seeps in gradually, whispering "what if" at every quiet moment. Unlike failure, which gives you a lesson and then leaves, regret lingers. It festers. It shows up years later when you see someone else doing what you dreamed of but never pursued. It visits you when opportunities pass and you're left wondering if they could have been life-changing. Regret doesn't stem from things going wrong. It stems from never giving them the chance to go right. It comes not from falling, but from never jumping at all. Failure, on the other hand, is often misunderstood. It's not a sign of inadequacy, it's proof that you tried. Failure means you had the courage to take a risk, to put yourself out there, to care about something enough to act on it. While society tends to stigmatize failure, those who have lived fully will tell you it's necessary. It sharpens your skills, humbles your ego, and deepens your wisdom. Every failure holds a hidden reward. The knowledge that comes from doing, the resilience that comes from rising, and the strength that comes from surviving something you once feared. What makes regret worse than failure is its permanence. Failures are temporary, they pass. They are steps in the process of growth, parts of your story that lead to better chapters. But regrets are heavy. They become burdens that stay with you. They often result in guilt. Not because you did something wrong, but because you did nothing at all. The older we get, the more we realize that the pain of a failed attempt fades, but the ache of missed chances only intensifies. We wish we had spoken up, started that project, told someone how we felt, or chased that wild dream. The cost of never trying is a life only half lived. There is also a deep emotional toll that regret takes on a person's sense of self. Regret can make you feel like a stranger to your own potential, like someone who didn't honor their inner calling. It eats away at confidence and self-trust. You begin to doubt yourself, not because you failed, but because you never gave yourself the chance to succeed. It creates a disconnect between who you are and who you know you could have been. Over time, that disconnect can grow into resentment, not just toward life, but toward yourself. And that's a pain no success later on can fully erase. Choosing action even at the risk of failure is the antidote to regret. When you try and fail, you gain experience and self-respect. You learn something valuable about the world and about yourself. You discover limits you can break, boundaries you can stretch, and capabilities you never knew you had. The courage to act plants seeds that might not bloom immediately, but they root deeply. Every attempt, every step, no matter how small or imperfect, becomes part of your becoming. You learn that failure doesn't define you. Fear does, when you let it stop you from trying. So many people allow fear of failure to paralyze them, never realizing that in doing so, they are choosing a far more damaging outcome, a lifetime of wandering. But those who truly live understand that failure is a risk worth taking, because at least it means you are in the game, you are alive, you are trying. Regret steals that feeling from you. It denies you the beauty of effort and the power of learning. And in the end, it's not the failures that haunt us, it's the chances we never took, the dreams we never gave ourselves permission to chase. The freedom to choose is one of the most powerful rights we possess as human beings. Yet it's one we often overlook, underestimate, or surrender without realizing it. From the moment we wake up, we are met with choices: how we think, how we respond, what we prioritize, and where we place our energy. Yet many of us live our days on autopilot, reacting to life instead of actively shaping it. We fall into patterns, routines, and obligations that feel fixed and fun. But what we often fail to realize is that every decision we make or don't make is a choice, and we are far more in control than we allow ourselves to believe. Claiming your freedom to choose means taking full responsibility for your life. It means understanding that you are not a passive participant in your own journey, but rather the author of every chapter. This does not mean that life will always go your way or that external circumstances won't challenge you. But even in the midst of difficulty, you still have the power to choose your response, your mindset, your direction. Victimhood removes your agency. Choice returns it. You may not control every situation, but you always control how you show up within it. And that makes all the difference. One of the reasons people resist making bold choices is because of the pressure to conform. From a young age, we are taught to play it safe, to fit in, to follow the approved path. Society rewards predictability and punishes deviation. But true freedom comes when you stop living to meet expectations and begin living to meet your truth. You don't need anyone's permission to choose differently. You don't need to explain or justify your path if it aligns with your values and dreams. When you finally step into your power to choose, you stop existing according to a script and begin writing your own. With freedom also comes the weight of accountability. Once you accept that your choices shape your life, you can no longer blame others for where you are. That can feel heavy at first, but it is also profoundly liberating. Because if your choices created your current reality, then your future choices can transform it. You are never truly stuck unless you choose to be. Every day offers a new chance to pivot, to recommit, to redirect your energy toward what matters most. Your power is not in controlling everything. It's in consciously choosing your next step. Here, who your confusion and excitement, one control at a time. Your power is not in deciding a decision. Claiming your freedom to choose also means embracing the risks that come with living intentionally. There will be moments when your choices are questioned, when they seem impractical or even selfish to others. But no one else can live your life for you. The pain of disappointing others pales in comparison to the pain of betraying yourself. When you make choices that reflect your deepest truths rather than the comfort or expectations of others, you gain a peace that cannot be manufactured or faked. You become rooted in who you are, not in how others want you to be. Ultimately, your choices are the blueprint of your life. Each one, big or small, shapes the direction you are heading. You can choose fear or faith. You can choose silence or self-taught. You can choose distraction or purpose. Every time you make a conscious decision, you are exercising your freedom and reinforcing your identity. The more you practice this, the more empowered you become. And once you truly understand the power you hold, the power to choose your thoughts, you'll never again give it away so easily. So as you walk forward from this moment, remember this: your life is yours. You don't owe anyone a version of yourself that feels fake. You are not here to live a life crafted by fear, silence, or societal pressure. You are here to live boldly, to explore what sets your soul on fire, and to leave behind the weight of regret by choosing action over hesitation. You were never meant to live in a mold. You were meant to shape the world with your uniqueness. Trust the voice inside you. It knows more than the noise outside ever will. Let fear be a signpost, not a stop sign. Don't wait for perfection. Create progress through movement. Accept failure as part of the journey, not the end of it. And most of all, never forget that every single day you wake up, you are gifted with the ultimate power, the freedom to choose. So go, chase the dream, start the thing, speak the truth, walk the road that only you can walk. Do whatever you want to do, and do it with your whole heart.